Hey guys, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And if this is your first time here, I want to thank you for checking out my channel. If you're a regular, welcome back. This is a movie channel, so everything I do here is movie related. I do reviews, top 10 lists, collection updates, and videos that I upload every Wednesday where I give you guys a few choices for Blu-rays and rentals to watch at home, as well as a few picks for those of you who want to head out and see a movie in the theater. So if this is the type of content you like, this is the point where I tell you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll know when I upload my videos. And what I have for you today is another Criterion segment. I have a few films that I picked up from the Barnes & Noble 50% off sale, which is still going on until August 6th. These are I believe these titles, these are the last of my pickups for this month, so that's the end of my run. So I'm going to go over those titles and then I'm going to cut away, and I have a few films that I'm going to do reviews on for you so that you can decide if you want to add them to your collection. So I don't want to make this too long, so I'm just going to get right into these titles. And again, these are going to be just quick overviews because some of them I have not watched yet, and when I do revisit them and when I watch the newer ones, I'm going to get back to you with an in-depth review. So let's just get going with the first one. It is Spine number 116. It's another film by Akira Kurosawa. It is The Hidden Fortress. And by all accounts, this is a film, it says it right on the back, primary influence on George Lucas's Star Wars. So if you're a Star Wars fan, you're definitely going to want to head out and check out Hidden Fortress. So definitely take a look at it, because I know I'm happy to have it in my collection. And these next two films inspired Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill series. So if you're a fan of the Kill Bill series, you're going to want to check these out. And I am a huge fan of the Kill Bill movies, so I'm really looking forward to seeing these. This is Spine number 790 and 791, The Complete Lady Snowbird. It is Lady Snowbird and Lady Snowbird Love Song of Vengeance. And look at that beautiful cover art. Beautiful work. So I'm looking forward to seeing these and seeing how they compare to the Kill Bill and Kill Bill 2. So I will definitely get back to you with more thoughts on this. And this next one I have not seen. It is Spine number 804. It is based on true crime events that took place in Taiwan. And this is from 1991. It is called Brighter Summer Day. And I have heard amazing things about this, so I am really, really excited to have it in my collection. And I can't wait to get back to you with more in-depth thoughts on it. And the next two films are from Mike Leigh. The first one is Spine number 659. Life is Sweet. And again, I've heard amazing things about this. I just heard a big review on this one, so I am really looking forward to checking this out. If you have seen it, let me know in the comments because I'm curious to know what you thought. But I've heard wonderful things, so I'm happy to have it. And the next one, I heard some pretty interesting things about this one. Another film from Mike Leigh. It's Spine number 307, Naked. So I heard this is a little bit of a tougher watch, but I'm up for it. So I'm looking forward to seeing this and, again, getting back to you with more in-depth thoughts. And this last one just came out this week, and I am very happy to add it to my collection. It is Spine number 939, A Matter of Life and Death. So that is my final pickup for the July Barnes & Noble 50% off Criterion Collection sale. So there we go. There you have it, and you're up to date on everything. So I am going to cut away. I'm going to grab my review titles, and I will be right back. Okay guys, I'm back and I have my titles, and I don't want this to get too long, so I'm just going to get right into it. First one is number 374, Bicycle Thieves, and this takes place in poverty-stricken post-war Rome. We meet our main character who has been offered a job that requires him to have a bicycle. He goes home and he tells his wife, we need to find the money to get my bike that I have on hold in the bike shop out because I need it for work. She rips the sheets right off the bed. They pawn their sheets, and she says, we can live without sheets. We can't live without your job. So he gets his bike, and off he goes to this new job. And all it is he has to ride around town and put up these posters on the sides of buildings. So he's doing his work, very happy, has the bike parked right next to him, and a guy comes and steals it, rides off with it. So he tries to chase the guy gets away. So he is now in a panic because his job depends on this bicycle. He goes, he picks up his son from school, and they keep on walking, and they find a group of his friends who seem to know people around town, and they seem to know the ins and outs of what goes on in town. And the guy says to him, honestly, listen, if we don't find this bike by tomorrow, we're going to be looking for it in parts, because they steal the bike, they sell the parts, and that's what they do to make a living. So they're frantic to find this bike, and they go off on this journey. So what appears to be a very superficial journey of a guy and his son and a few friends looking for a bicycle, it's really so much more. It's about the underlying meanings and the layers, and the ultimate outcome of what happens if he doesn't find the bike and he doesn't find the person who has stolen the bike. Then what happens? And that is what we find out when he sits down and he takes his son to lunch. Because at one point in the movie, he's exhausted, he's cranky, the little boy is crying, and they've just had it. So he takes him to lunch to try to explain to him the urgency of the situation, and that without this bike, the bike, it really is what secures the sustainability of their home and their family. And really their family's survival depends on him finding this bike to keep this job, because without it, he doesn't know how he's going to put food on the table or keep a roof over their heads. So at that moment, you understand the desperation and what a situation this guy is in. So this is where we start to get those deeper, darker meanings. And it really is a moving, emotional film when you start to see it from that perspective. And I don't really want to go into too much more, because it's really one of these that you have to really experience on your own. And I think the rewatchability on this one is going to be very high, because I think every time you watch it, you're going to just see a little bit more of the character study that you didn't see the time before. And I know for me, one of the things that I picked up on was there was a few times when you saw that he was thinking about some things that maybe he wouldn't have ever even thought about if he wasn't in such a desperate situation just for survival. And you know that everything he's thinking about doing just goes against the person he is and goes against his character. So it really shows us a look at how far people will think about going when they are pushed to the brink. And really, it's an amazing film. It's a win in my book, and I think it's a really safe blind buy. And like I said, it's from 1948. It's only 89 minutes, and it's in black and white. It's in Italian with subtitles. But it's not a dialogue-heavy film, so again, if you're a person who's newer or apprehensive about subtitled films, don't shy away from this one because of it, because it's really easy, and you can read the subtitle and enjoy the picture. And speaking of the picture, it got a new 4K digital restoration, and it looks and sounds amazing. You would never know this was a film from 1948. I mean, you see the brickwork in the buildings and the cobblestone streets, and you see every crack in every building. It is amazing. It is a beautifully shot movie. It's gorgeous. And it comes with some extras, a documentary from 2003 on screenwriter, longtime friend of DeSica and a collaborator on the film. And it comes with, of course, it comes with an essay book. You know how I love my essay books. And that's Bruno, the little guy that plays Bruno. He's the cutest little thing. And this is a very pivotal scene from the movie. This is just before the father and son go and have a very, very poignant conversation over lunch. So that's a big scene in the movie. And this just gives you some, you know, it gives you some essays on the making of the movie. So you can just peruse this on your own. But yeah, it's a really good one, and it's a nice addition. They did a nice job with it. And like I said, it's not a ton of extras. There's some little things in here, but just for the story alone, it is so worth it, and you're going to watch it again and again. I know you will, and like I said, every time you watch it, you're going to get something new out of it. So yeah, Bicycle Thieves, definitely give it a look. And the next one, this was a viewer recommendation, and thank you to the person who recommended it to me. It is Spine number 190, Akira Kurosawa's Throne of Blood. And this is his adaptation of Macbeth. So to give you a brief synopsis about how he went about it, is we have our two main guys, two main warriors who have done very well in battle, and they're being sent off to be thanked at the palace from the castle, from the Great Lord, who is the leader of their community. So they're going through these woods that, I believe they call them the Spider Castle Forest or the Spider Castle Woods, but apparently there's a lot of different trails and people get lost and they get confused in these woods. So they're on horseback and they're kind of lost, and they come upon what they believe to be a spirit. The spirit makes these predictions about both of their futures, and she tells them one is going to be, the son of him is going to be the leader of the castle, and the other one is going to run the Great North, and all these crazy predictions that they have no idea where they're coming from, but they listen, and then she disappears. So they go, they find the castle, and when they meet with the Great Lord, these predictions start to come through. So they figure that the spirit was right. And the one guy, the main guy, has a wife who, she is a very non-trusting person, and she somehow gets in his head because he's gotten a promotion, and he believes it's because the Great Lord trusts him and confides in him and considers him a friend, and that he's given him this position because it's a reward. He also thinks he's gotten the position because it was predicted by the spirit. His wife has other plans. She plants the seed in his head that he is being set up by the Great Lord to be killed, and he just doesn't know it yet. So he now has a decision to make. Does he follow his heart and know that the Great Lord is his friend and trust that he is making decisions in his best behalf? Or does he listen to his wife, who is relentless in telling him that it is his job to kill the Great Lord and take over the castle? And this is the story that we go about. This is the story that we have. This is the path that we're on. And it really is an amazing story. And again, from Akira Kurosawa, it is a beautifully shot movie. It looks good. It sounds good. There's a lot of horseback riding through the woods. The subtitles are easy. It's in Japanese, but the subtitles are really easy. It's a very easy film to watch. So again, if you're apprehensive about subtitles, you'll have no problem with this. But I don't want to get too much into the decisions that our main guys make, because it really impacts the whole direction of the movie, and it's really up to him which path he takes. So you're kind of left wondering for quite a while, what's he going to do? Is he going to follow his head, or is he going to listen to his wife? So that's where he's kind of at. And it really was a well done film, and it's from 1957. It's 109 minutes, so again, it's pretty short. Black and white, and like I said, it's in Japanese with the subtitles. It has a new 2K restoration film transfer, and it has some extras, not a lot of extras. There's a documentary on the making of the film, which is probably the most interesting one that they have. But I can say, as far as the transfer, I have seen better. I don't know what it was. I'm not sure if it was I think they were trying to do like a mystical effect in the woods, because they believe there were evil spirits in there at times. So I don't know if it was like a fog element that they were trying to create, or if there was some grain on the screen, or if they were actually trying to simulate rain. So there were a few spots that it was a little difficult to see, but that was just in the woods. Other than that, it looked great, and it sounded great. So I would say overall the transfer is a win. And the acting is great, and it's interesting because you see a lot of the same actors in his films, and I recognized there were some familiar faces in there. And this comes with a beautiful, beautiful booklet of essays and images from the film. And it even talks about how you notes on subtitling Japanese films. So if you're interested in any of that, you're going to get a lot of information from this. This even right here, Shakespeare transposed. So you get a whole essay on Shakespeare. So if you're interested in Shakespeare and Akira Kurosawa's adaptation of Macbeth, you're going to love Throne of Blood. It's a really good pickup, and if you're into this kind of thing, you're really going to enjoy this, I think. So definitely do your homework and check this one out. This next one is one of my very, very favorites in the collection, and it is number 681, Frances Ha. This is a film written by Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, and it also stars Greta Gerwig. This is from 2013, but it's also in black and white, which I absolutely love black and white films. Even modern films that are in black and white, I just think it has such a good look. And we meet Frances, who is Greta Gerwig, and she is a 27-year-old struggling ballerina who's trying to find herself in New York City. She lives with her best friend Sophie, who they share an apartment. They finish each other's sentences. They're basically like best friends and sisters, and Frances can't imagine her life without Sophie. Sophie decides to move into another apartment with different friends because it's closer to where she wants to be. And Frances is kind of left feeling like she's hanging out in the wind. And to make matters worse, Sophie actually gets a boyfriend who she is spending all her time with instead of doing the things she used to do with Frances. So our main character, Frances, is now left to her own devices. She ends up subletting from a bunch of people. One of the guys is Adam Driver and a couple other guys. She ends up subletting from them, and she gets into these conversations with them. They keep telling her she's undateable. And she's really a woman who is in her mid-20s at a time when when we're trying to find ourselves. And she has opportunities. She wants to be a ballerina, but she's not quite cutting it and getting the dancing parts. But the owner of the company really likes her, so she offers her an office job. Frances wants to hold out for the dancing job, which she may or may not ever get. And she's just really lost. She's really lost without her base, without her best friend and her apartment and everything that she's grown to know. And now she's at a point where she really has to find things on her own, and she has to learn to stand on her own. And that's what happens at that age, at our mid to late 20s. We're really trying to figure out how to make it on our own. And I've read somewhere, I read in a few places, that it feels like this story has no plot. And I would have to disagree with that, because I think the plot is in her not knowing what direction to go in, and what seems like not a plot is very much a plot. So I think it was very craftfully done by Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig in their writing. I think it was very intentional. I'm sure it was very intentional. But we follow Frances on her different journeys and her different escapades and her failures and her successes, and I just feel like this made me root for her the whole time. I just wanted to see her succeed, and she really does come into her own. And like I said, I don't want to give away too much of any of these movies, but I think you're really, really going to love this. And if you don't love Greta Gerwig already, you're going to love her after you see her in this film, because she is just such a really relatable character. She's so good, and she's so perfect in this part. And there was a fun fact that there's one point in the movie when Frances goes back to Sacramento. And if you know anything about Greta Gerwig, she actually is from Sacramento. And they actually use her real parents in the film, which I thought was really cool. And she made a little joke. She said if the clip had been any longer, or if the shots had been any longer, we actually would have had to have actors, because her parents couldn't have pulled it off. But Frances Ha it's such an easy, feel-good movie that I really, really enjoyed. And if you want to follow somebody floundering through their 20s trying to find their way, you're going to love this film. And it's got a great soundtrack, too. Again, this is from 2013. It's black and white. It has the 1.85 aspect ratio, so it fills up the screen nice. It has a new high-definition transfer. It looks great. It sounds great. You have conversations between filmmaker Peter Bogdanovich and Baumbach, and conversations between Sarah Polley and Greta Gerwig. So there's some really interesting conversations and interviews that go on in the extras here. And we also have a really cool essay book, and this is a great shot. This is when Frances goes back to Sacramento and she's riding her bike around the old neighborhood. But yeah, there's really some great, this is a great scene from the beginning of the movie when her and Sophie do what they do. They like to fake fight. It's just one of those quirky, funny things that they do. But this really is, it's really one of my favorite films in the collection, and I really think that if you want something that's light and easy to watch, you're really, really going to enjoy this one. And I can't say enough about it. It's one of my favorites. Frances Ha. And this one was a viewer request, so I definitely wanted to make sure I got to this one. It is Spine number 91, The Blob. And I don't know what I can say about The Blob that you probably don't already know, but you have this comet that shoots out of the sky, and it makes this crater, and it kind of looks like a cantaloupe or a meteor. The guy pokes it with a stick, and the blob comes out. And now the blob is this big gelatinous ball that's rolling around, terrorizing the town. So you kind of know what you're going to get with this. You're going to get probably not the greatest performances, but it's entertaining enough. And it's one of those just the original horror movies that are so important because of what they transformed into for our modern horror movies. So if you are a horror fan, you know what you're getting into with this one. It's fun, it's cheesy, it's not going to have the greatest performances, but it's a classic. It's a classic horror movie, and there's really not much else to say about it. If you don't know anything about The Blob, I would suggest checking it out before you buy it, because I really think you have to know what you're getting into when you buy this, because it really is just a cheesy horror movie, but it's very important in the horror genre, if that makes sense. And this one has a new 4K digital restoration. It was actually shot in 1958, but let me tell you, the colors on this popped off the screen. It looks amazing, and there were a few shots where the guys had kind of greased their hair over. You could see every hair on their head. You could see every line from the comb. It was amazing. And yet at the same time, there's just enough grain from the original film that it gives you that old classic horror feel to the film. You actually know that you're watching a film, which is really very cool. And it's only 82 minutes, so it's a really quick watch, but it's a lot of fun. And if you're into this kind of thing, like if you like Night of the Living Dead, any of this stuff, Universal Monsters, it all fits in the same category. So if you're a fan of that, yeah, this is definitely one that you're going to want to have in your collection. So yeah, definitely check out the Blob. It's a safe one if that's your genre of choice. I enjoyed it enough. I thought it was a lot of fun. So those are my reviews for today, and hopefully you'll find something in here that will help you with some choices for items that you want to pick up in the sale. I'm going to try and get one more of these videos up before the 6th when the sale is over. So if there's anything that you want me to touch on, please leave it in the comments. And other than that, I just want to thank you guys as always for watching and hanging out and following me on this journey. If you enjoyed what I did today, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, do whatever you like, because I appreciate everything. And I'm going to be back again real soon, but until then, that's a wrap.